Welcome to Sliders and Wings, a podcast about the TV show Sliders
and the TV show Wings
and all the other forgotten TV shows of the 90s.
I'm Valerie Temple.
And I'm Rachel Cox.
All right.
All right.
How are you, Rachel?
I'm good. I'm settling into my new house. So I have not left the estate today.
The estate?
When you move out to the suburbs, it's a trip, Val, because I spend so much time looking out the window. A street dead ends into us is we're up by a stop sign. So like you can see cars coming, you can see people that are walking towards you. And in the absence of anything else to do, you're like just constantly peeping out the window, like, oh, who's coming down there? And like if someone's in the street having a conversation, I can hear the whole conversation in the house.
Really?
Yes. So like I can't be walking around the neighborhood talking about people either.
No, you gotta curb that.
There's families with kids everywhere. I'm just kind of biding my time. You know, we've been slowly getting to know them, but what's really bothering me is that when you live in a row home, like we did in Philly, there's really no unused space. It's just the length of the house. And now we're in a 4-square colonial. So you have these 2 front rooms that are meant for formal entertaining. And just the thought of having these 2 rooms that are just sitting there empty 99% of the time fills me with dread.
Just not doing anything.
What am I supposed to do with them?
I know you're going to have to do that old school, the front room that's just nothing. Or put a piano in there or something. And then it's the piano room.
Exactly. So there's a dining room and we don't actually have a dining table. And I know that if I were to acquire one, I would just start putting stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
My idea was we keep the room empty. And then if we have people over, we get out folding tables and put tablecloths on them. What they call flex space.
Oh, okay.
Keep it flex.
That's what they say? That's what they call it?
I know that I've seen that somewhere. Like it's space that you use for different purposes, right?
No, I believe you. It sounds like an HGTV kind of thing.
How are you?
Really good. I'm taking 2 classes this semester and both of them involve numbers. Then I was doing homework today and
statistics?
I had to take an intro statistics class last semester and now I'm taking the advanced statistics class. And then I'm also taking a class on financial control of nonprofits. So like budgets. Oh my God. It's just...
You know, though. I mean,
it is really good to know. It's one of those things where you're falling asleep while you're learning it, but you're like, this will be useful to me.
It's funny because I remember in high school, the friends of mine who weren't as good at, believe it or not, I actually was in advancts math.
Me too. I was in AP calculus.
Kids that weren't as good at math would take statistics. And in my mind at the time, I was like, it's like math for kids. Oh God, if I take statistics, I won't be able to follow it because I'm too stupid.
I know. I'm a big dummy. My bratty little kid comes out in me when I'm trying to do this homework. I'm like, I just don't want to.
There was a comedian I've been following who, in the course of something he was saying, he mentioned that he was a math major in college, and I can't get over it. I can't imagine being smart enough at math that you would be focusing on it. I understand there's millions of people out there majoring in math, but I guess I can't imagine someone having the skills set to do comedy and also having the skills to...
I think there is some crossover because writing jokes, especially one-liners and stuff, it's like an equation, you know?
I read a book recently called Atomic Habits, and I highly recommend it. It's basically how habits are formed, the psychology of it, how to manipulate that psychology to adopt good ones and to stop yourself from doing bad ones. And I found it like really easy to understand, but the thing that has stuck with me is that the author focuses on incremental improvement. If you just go, okay, I want to achieve this, it's going to be daunting every day to not get there. But if you just say, I just want to be like 1% better than I was yesterday or the week before, whatever, then it becomes much more manageable. But he said that one thing that makes people who are high achieving, and this actually made me feel so much better about myself because I feel like I'm such a dilettante because I go from thing to thing. And I went to art school and I still can't even finish a quilt. Like I get too bored. And he said that one of the things that actually separates high achieving people from just people below is a tolerance for boredom, because at a certain point you are repeating the same. Like if you were like, for example, like want to be a high achieving athlete, you're doing the same drills every day for hours and hours and hours. If you get bored easily, you can't do it. That's why I haven't been high achieving.
That's why I'm not an Olympian. I'm too bored.
Otherwise, I'd be in the high hurdles, obviously.
That's right. That's the only thing keeping me from a gold medal.
So we're here to talk about an amazing show that I have a history with, and I think you have a history with too. And it's called Seaquest DSV.
The 21st century, mankind has colonized the last unexplored region on Earth, the ocean. As captain of the Seaquest and its crew, we are its guardians. For beneath the surface lies the future.
So my history with the show is that I definitely watched it. I don't know if I understood it. Now that I watched it again, I'm like, Oh, didn't understand that it was set in the future.
No, I didn't either. There was a lot of things where I was watching the show and I was like, oh, I really only remember the pool that Darwin is in. I think it's called the Moon Pool or something. That's the only thing I remember.
I mean, when you have a show in it with a bunch of technical details and also a talking dolphin, what are people going to remember from the show?
I can't believe I didn't remember the talking dolphin.
I definitely remember that I absolutely adore Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah.
And that was
same.
probably why I was watching the show. But then recently, Greg and I watched maybe half of the first season 3 years ago or something. Again, I could not remember that either. I didn't remember enough of it to do this podcast. I had to go back 2 nights ago and watch the first 2 episodes again. It was like I was watching it for the first time.
And that's too bad because the first 2 episodes of the show, I mean, it's 1 episode. It's the pilot. It's part 1, part 2. And it's so dry. But then Aaron and I watched a couple more episodes and it does get better.
And they get into like Freak of the Week. It's basically Star Trek underwater.
Absolutely.
Premise of Seaquest, let me just read the official description. An American science fiction television series. It originally aired on NBC between 90, so it was only 3. Greg was like, what was this on? Like 10 seasons? I said 3, 93 to 96. In its final season, it was renamed Seaquest 2032. Set in the near future, originally the year 2018 in the first season.
Apparently, the 3rd season takes place 10 years after the events of the season finale of season 2.
So it wasn't like they just shifted it. They actually jumped ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
It was originally mixed high drama with realistic scientific fiction. Did he leave? It originally starred Roy Scheider. And Roy Scheider is most well known for being the main guy in Jaws. He played Captain Nathan Bridger, designer and commander of the eponymous naval submarine Seaquest DSV 4600. In the 3rd season, Michael Ironside replaced Scheider as lead of the series and was cast as Captain Oliver Hudson. Also present was a dolphin character called Darwin, who, due to technological advances, was able to communicate with the crew. Not only can he communicate with the crew by speaking, but apparently you realize in the second part of the pilot, he's talking through their brains.
And there's an episode that involves parapsychologists, like mind readers, and apparently Roy Scheider's character has an aptitude for psychic talking to the dolphin, basically, with his mind.
While it was initially popular, it began to decline in ratings, was abruptly canceled in the middle of its 3rd season. That's so surprising that it started out popular.
Was it popular? I got conflicting reports here because I read something about how people were sort of surprised that it even got a 2nd season. So I don't know how popular it was, but I feel like the network had invested so much money in it that they were like, might as well use these sets for 1 more season. We got to get our money out of this. There was a ton of merch. They had a video game. They had comic books. They had novels.
At the end of the episodes you were watching, that someone would come on from
the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, Dr. Robert Ballard, who was also the technical advisor for the show. It's very wholesome. Over the credits, this real life scientist starts telling you facts about the ocean in relation to the plot of the episode. So it's like, well, in actual life, blah, 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 blah. It's very cute. Educational.
But I guess the premise of the show is that there's crazy stuff going on under the water. There's colonies down there. People are living under the water. There's a lot of really confusing acronyms. They never mention countries anymore, but because they're operated by the United Earth Oceans Organization, but they call it UEO.
It's so confusing. And it's also really funny because Roy Scheider's character keeps saying, what is it again?
Yeah.
Like he's the audience.
What is this stupid organization called? The storyline begins in the year 2018 after mankind has exhausted almost all natural resources except for the ones on the ocean floor. Many new colonies have been established there, and it is the mission of the Seaquest and its crew to protect them from hostile, non-aligned nations and to aid in mediating disputes as well as engage in undersea research. So yeah, Star Trek underwater. But the 2-part pilot, the plot is basically the reluctant hero. They want him to be the captain because he's the only man for the job, and it's just a bunch of falderall about trying to get him to come on the ship, and they basically trick him to get on the ship.
He's retired because his son died, then also his wife died, and so he's just been on this island hanging out with his dolphin, gone native, and the UEO decides that he's the only one that could captain Seaquest. He designed it, so they trick him into resuming his post.
So there's a photo of the second season cast on Wikipedia that is so fucking bizarre. There's a guy that's part amphibian.
The season 1 cast photo and the season 2 cast photo, I think, really show off what was happening with season 2. Season 1,
they look professional. They're wearing the turtlenecks under their suits.
So they've got jumpsuits and turtlenecks and everyone's very covered. And then season 2 cast photo, we got shoulders out. People are wearing sleeveless wetsuits.
Lady zip suits are zipped way, way down.
So they're trying to like sex it up a little.
And is this a Deloise I'm looking at here?
2 DeLuises ended up on the show. Peter and Michael, I think.
A neighborhood family where I grew up. So a friend of my parents, she's Dom DeLuise's niece. So I always had that DeLuise connection. So I definitely thought for a long time that this was Blair Underwood. His name is not Blair Underwood.
No, Don Franklin. I guess season 1 is kind of nerdy. You know, it's a nerdy show. It's very much about education. We're really talking about real science. And then season 2 just sort of shifts into some crazy, wild freak of the week kind of stuff. And I guess that's why Roy Scheider left in the season 3, because he didn't like the direction of the show. He actually shit talked the show in an interview. He's just like, it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. The executive producer of the show had to be like, actually, we really stand behind the show. The star of a show, currently starring on the show, just being like, it sucks.
And Stephanie Beacham left after the first season.
I think she got axed. 4 of the side characters got axed.
I thought she was good.
I liked her, Stephanie Beacham. She played the medical officer. I know her most as a character from True Beverly Hills, but she also played Luke Perry's mom on 90210.
Did you see the guy from Twin Peaks? He plays the assistant bad guy.
Yes. Leo Johnson.
Okay, Darwin's voice is hilarious. So the way that the dolphin talks.
That was my accent corner is Darwin. His voice is so funny. Swim, Bridger, Rab, Darwin, love Bridger. He kind of sounds like Gollum a little bit. Yeah. I guess that voice actor, he's super prolific. He is best known for voicing Fred on Scooby-Doo. It seems like he specializes in voicing animal characters because he was also the voice of Santa's Little Helper and Snowball 2 on The Simpsons. I was like, I don't even remember what, did they have voices?
What a fun job. This is one of the most interesting things that happened in the pilot, which is that there's a technology where they'll take someone's picture and they'll put it into, it's like steam, a plate of steam that comes out from the ceiling and then projected onto it as a picture of someone that's talking, and it's an AI. So there's some guy that I guess Bridger knew who's wearing a bow tie and he's British. The whole reason he's there is so the captain has someone to bounce ideas off of and talk to.
It's sort of like in Star Trek, the computer, the voice of the computer, but we've got an image to look at. Does that continue on?
What was the other episode that you and Aaron watched? Did you watch something from a later season?
No, we just kept going. I feel like we're just going to continue to watch all of Seaquest.
So we did too. We started watching most of the next one, the one with Roscoe Lee Brown.
That's the one where Darwin's sick. And it's really funny because Roy Scheider is just like, I don't care about this experiment. My dolphin is sick. I've got to help him. He's like, he's part of the crew. Darwin's sick.
I couldn't watch him where I was so tired. I went up to bed and then Greg stayed to watch a little longer. And then he came up to bed and I roused myself and I said, what did Darwin mean when he said 2 is 1?
Right. The answer wasn't very satisfying.
The baddie in the first episode is a former protege or naval student of Bridger's. Was she just like the worst actress you've ever seen? Whew. She stank it up.
She just wanted to kill people, and then she gets relieved at command, and then she goes on this, did they call it a pirate vessel? Something? She's hired by some organization. They're like, your mission is to take Seaquest out. And she's like, I'm on it.
It was really confusing. I don't think they should have had the 2-part pilot. I mean, they should have just had one episode that was just getting him on the ship and introducing everyone to the ship. And then the second episode could have been something else because it was just they were merging it all together and it was really confusing.
It took so long. The first episode is basically here's everybody. And then the second episode is sort of like we're getting into this drama. But by that point, I was kind of lost. And also, they're trying to establish so much, and there's so many different location changes. There's so many lower third cry-ons of we're here now, and now we're here, and we're here. And they're trying to explain acronyms. Pop quiz, Rachel. What does DSV stand for?
Do not know.
Deep Submergence Vessel.
Okay, that makes sense. There was one really, really funny scene where the most prescient part of the show was video calls, right? They all do video calls. But I guess in this world, it's not like through computer. You have video phones.
It's like right next to your bed and everyone is always like, oh, they're just like wearing undershirts and being like, what now, Bridger?
And in the second episode, when Darwin's sick and he calls his special dolphin vet guy, and the guy's like, I'm here with my mom and my 2 brothers. Darwin is sick. And the guy says, I'll take it in the other room. And there's like a 10-second pause where the brother and the moms are just staring at Bridger. Or they're just all staring at each other on the video phone.
Yeah, I was like, they haven't figured this out. I mean, I guess it is 2018, so it is the past for us, truly. So this is everyone figuring out Zoom for the first time.
So the other characters are a guy who looks like Blair Underwood, but his name is Don Franklin, and he's the number 2 in command. And he's basically just like very noble, very responsible.
His plot of the first episode is that he has been ordered to seem sort of incompetent so that Roy Scheider would be like, I obviously have to be the captain because this guy sucks or something.
God, I didn't get that at all. It took me so long to realize that they didn't know that that woman was the one in charge of this rogue ship. I thought they all knew that. And then at a certain point, they're like, oh, it's her? I'm like, wait, we didn't know this already?
It would make more sense if they knew, and then that was why they needed Roy, because Seaquest has never faced such a villain before.
So there's the Captain Roy, there's the second in command, and then there's the chief engineer who's like a no-nonsense woman with her hair slicked back half the time for some reason.
Kind of, yeah.
And then there's the medical woman who's supposed to be like the possible love interest for Bridger, who probably is still 20 years younger than him, but she's the oldest woman there, Stephanie Beacham, and she's very gorgeous.
She also has a good accent.
Oh, yeah.
British.
And then there's the supply officer who's just like the kind of wheeling, dealing, questionable morality guy.
Right.
And he used to be married briefly to engineer lady. Oh, then of course, Joxer from Xena is there.
Ted Raimi.
Darwin the Dolphin. And then of course, Jonathan Brandis. The reason he's there, I never really understood why he was there, but the reason given is that it's unclear if he actually works there or not. He's a genius, but also his parents didn't know what to do with him. So they kind of just arranged for him to be on the ship.
Right. Basically, he's a teen genius. He's the one who designed the program that allows Darwin to talk.
Why don't they just say he's a genius and he's already graduated college and he's here and he works here?
I don't know. He's the Wesley Crusher character.
He's so talented. He's so engaging. He's so cute. He's like the best actor on the show.
He shades Roy Scheider in the first episode because Roy Scheider, I guess, had tried to develop a voice function for Darwin and he couldn't do it. So he resorted to developing a system of hand signals. And Jonathan Brandis is like, hand signals. Pretty cool. It's just like, wow.
Did you notice he's wearing a Marlins jersey and it says National Champions 2010?
Yeah, he's wearing a Marlins jersey in every single episode that I watched. I was like, how many did he bring?
I was so obsessed with the movie Ladybugs.
Yeah, same.
Ladybugs is a movie starring Jonathan Brandis and
Rodney Dangerfield.
A boy who, he's a great soccer player, and Rodney Dangerfield needs to make this girls' soccer team better. So Jonathan Brandis puts on a wig and he becomes a girl.
Jonathan Brandis does drag and then does soccer. I remember him not looking very feminine. The wig that they put on him, they didn't try very hard. They didn't do anything to try and change the shape of his body at all. So he's just very straight up and down and this weird long wig. Loved it.
Oh, anyway, poor Jonathan.
Yeah. So Jonathan Brandis was definitely the reason why I checked out this show at all. But I don't remember. This was a show that I think I only caught every once in a while. In its first season, it was programmed against the last season of Star Trek Next Generation. That's probably what I was doing then. But what a dumb thing to do. That seems to be the exact same audience. Why would you plug this show in against competition? Direct competition.
They could actually out Star Trek Trek, Star Trek.
It doesn't quite get there. But this is definitely a sweet spot for Aaron and I. We're watching it and we're just like, yeah, I'm going to continue watching this. The long first episode, that was hard to get through. But after we watched more.
It's like an AI just customized a show tailored to your interests.
Absolutely. This is for us. Okay. Buckle up. He's sending me links to eBay auctions for Seaquest hats and stuff. We're going all in already.
Well, if our fan who asked us to watch Seaquest, which we already were going to do, but if there's a particular episode he wants us to watch, he should let us know.
I feel like I'm going to just update everyone. I'm really excited about getting to, it sounds like season 2 and season 3 just get crazier and crazier. Poseidon shows up at some point. That sounds awesome.
Turn into Xena.
That's why they had Ted Raimi in there. They knew what they were doing. I found this user review on IMDb that's just really lamenting the quality drop off of Seaquest from season 1. They're just like, it was the greatest sci-fi adventure television ever in the first season, and then it jumped the shark.
It jumped the dolphin.
He's talking about these bad episodes, these bad premises that they do in season 2, and he's like, psychics, laser guns, time travel, plants taking over the sub, gigantic crocodiles, evil aliens, genetically engineered slave warriors in skimpy wetsuits. And I was like, I kind of want to see all of that. So you're complaining about this, but you're actually selling it to me.
Well, this explains why me as a teenager, this sounds amazing. Also, it's a nice tight little package. You're talking about 57 episodes. This isn't a Star Trek,
Exactly. And it's all on Peacock.
Why am I paying for Peacock and I'm still seeing commercials? Greg's like, why are there commercials? He's like, are you paying for this? I go, I don't know what's going on anymore.
No, I think you have to pay more to not see that. Yeah.
The things that I've seen ads for that it wants me to watch on there are just big budget dramas, like of years past.
I saw an ad for Fox on Peacock, and I was like, what?
I got Paramount Plus so I could watch the show Evil. Is it only Shonda Rhimes shows? Is it certain production companies that are associated with Paramount? Because if it was CBS, it would just say CBS. Again, old person here. So Accent Corner is Darwin.
And the medical officer lady, who, by the way, did you know she's deaf? She's fully deaf in one ear and like 75% hearing loss in the other ear.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Good for her.
Yeah.
This also inspired me to look up just some pictures of Roy Scheider, and goddamn it, he was hot.
Very handsome guy.
Even with those like big goofy glasses on and Jaws, he looked real good.
Yeah, he's rugged. They have him wearing casual wear. Sometimes he looks good in that. This denim button down.
There's a funny scene when he's first on the ship and they've kind of like coerced him on the ship, but he refuses to put the uniform on because he's like, I'm not staying, I'm just visiting. And he's like leaning over I used to have this really, really old boss who would lean over me on the computer all the time, like trying to look at what I was working on. And he's like leaning over people. He's got his glasses on, like that are hanging from a chain. What is that? What's that on the radar?
There were 2 characters on Seaquest that had glasses with chains attached to them. I was like, I think probably they got rid of that in season 2. It's not very sexy.
I couldn't think of a most 90s because it's set in the future and there's not really much. They do a pretty good job of kind of erasing the era that they're actually in.
For most 90s, I just put down Jonathan Brandis. To me, he is just the 90s encapsulated. And his hair has never looked better. Oh, it's glorious. The visual effects are also, I think they're pretty good. They hold up pretty well, but there is a lot of them, so there's a little bit of 90s-ness about it. And then also, I think the opening credits, the typeface of the letters, the opening sequence is a little different for the first episode than subsequent episodes, and they have these drop shadow letters coming straight at you. But then in later episodes, the opening sequence is voiceover of Roy Scheider explaining what Seaquest is and what's happening in the future, which I guess is necessary for just like casual viewers. So we're like, wait, what's going on?
I feel like with Jonathan Brandis, they say that part of the reason why he killed himself, or the reason why, is because his acting roles are drying up, and he had this role in this movie and it was cut. It wasn't as big as it was supposed to be in Heart's War with Bruce Willis.
Oh.
And I was thinking, it's kind of like he didn't transition to adult star. And also, it seemed like he also had a young person's face. He still looked kind of young. And I was realizing it was a lot like Leonardo DiCaprio, who did manage to transition. And even though he does still have that baby face, round, giant head, Jonathan Brandis is like Leonardo DiCaprio if he hadn't had Titanic yet.
Yeah, there's a TV show that Jonathan Brandis was cast on the year or so before he died, and it didn't make it to series. It was an unpicked up pilot. And I searched for it on YouTube. I was like, I wonder if this pilot's around. And I think the pilot itself isn't, but there are some clips. You get to see Jonathan Brandis. And he does look a lot older. It sort of reminded me of Saved by the Bell, the college years, when the first episode of that, you're just sort of shocked by how swole Mark Paul Gosselaar got. You're like, that's not what I remember. And it is a little disconcerting.
Was he just older or was he also beefier?
He was both older and beefier. He definitely looked like himself, just a little more mature.
Oh, this industry we're in, Val.
I know.
What are we doing? Oh, Mad Magazine.
Seaquest. Ryan Seaquest. Seaquest out.
I was thinking of some sort of play on DSV. Seaquest SUV. Mad Magazine might have done like a combo where it was like Space Quest DSV. They were combining Star Trek and Seaquest, and they were like, what's going on? Where are we?
That's exactly what they would have done. How we keep messing it up is what they would have done. They just Seaquest Deep Space Nine.
Are we ready for what you're watching?
I think we are. We have been watching the other two.
Oh, that's what I had on my list. I've watched all of the first season.
We've watched everything that is available thus far.
I was kicking myself because I forgot to mention it last week.
It was on my list, but we talked about so many different shows last week.
The sister of the main actress, until recently dating Bobby Flay.
No way. Weird. That guy gets girls.
I Googled her to see if she's still dating Bobby Flay and just get married to someone else. She got out from under that.
You know, Bobby Flay is rumored to be the baby daddy of January Jones's kid from Mad Men.
I thought it was supposed to be Claudia Schiffer's husband.
Or Jason Sudeikis. There's a lot of guesses out there, but Bobby Flay is in the mix.
Oh, how exciting to have mysterious parentage.
I know, right?
What a thrill ride. The other two is great. I actually laughed out loud many times.
It's so funny. It's very Girls Five Eva, 30 Rock kind of vibe, but a lot more gay sex.
Yeah, but the episode when he breaks up with his boyfriend when they go to the country, that was the funniest.
The influencer character.
Yes. Instigates.
The instigates. It just really makes me laugh. And then Ken Marino just makes me laugh so hard. He doesn't even have to really do anything.
Yeah, nothing more to say. Just very good show. Recommend. And the other thing is I actually went to a theater and saw an actual fucking movie. Last day that both my kids were in summer camp, I was like, today's the day. I'm going to a movie. 11:30 movie. It was The Green Knight.
Oh, how did you like it?
It has that patented A24
vibe.
In this instance, I think that after the movie, reading up on the legend it was based on made the movie make more sense. So when I was like, I'm enjoying this. It's good, but I'm really confused. There's a lot of things to interpret.
You should have studied up before you went.
Well, I thought it's usually good to go in fresh. It's based on this pretty obscure Arthurian legend, I found out later. Usually looking things up ahead of time ruins things. So then when I looked it up, a lot of things made sense and I thought it was really great. Read what the synopsis is of this particular legend first.
Okay, that's good advice because I have not seen it yet. So that will probably help my enjoyment once I get around to it.
I love Dev Patel. I thought he was great.
I just had heard that it's kind of slow.
It is slow. I like medieval stuff.
Are you an Excalibur girl?
One of my favorite books is The Mists of Avalon.
Oh, yeah.
One reason I think I could get down. The two movies I wanted to see this summer were The Green Knight and Old left theaters before I could watch it.
I really want to see Candyman, but going to the theater seems like such a to-do now. I mean, I used to work at a movie theater. I should really be like the person who's like, first day it's open, let's go. But I'm old. Like, I don't want to.
It was hard to say, okay, I'm going to waste 3 hours of daylight. I could see seeing a movie once a month though.
Yeah, no, it's a nice thing to do.
And then I took Ivan to see Paw Patrol and I listened to a podcast while he watched Paw Patrol.
That's a good strategy.
I think it was actually like an hour long. So
that was in the theater?
Yeah.
Wow.
The first movies ever seen in the theater.
Do you remember the first movie you ever saw in the theater?
No, I don't know. We saw a lot of movies, so it wasn't anything memorable.
I think the first movie I saw in the theater was the Care Bears movie. Not anything super exciting.
My oldest memory of being in the theater was that my mother and I went to go see Satisfaction. And I guess I had to pee. I was like, I have to pee. And she's like, hold it. I remember she kept saying, we're at the climax of the movie. So she had to take me out to go to the bathroom. And literally she continues to bring it up to this day that she missed the climax of the movie Satisfaction because she had to take me to the bathroom.
She knows that she could watch it now and just catch herself up.
Experience was tainted, Val.
Is that the only movie that she's ever missed the ending of because of a child?
Not the ending, the climax. Not the denouement. Oh, but speaking of Satisfaction, the redheaded drummer boy from Satisfaction is in the pilot of Seaquest. He's the guy that sets off the Livingston Trench situation. Whatever this event is, it sets off the treaty that forms the UEO. That's that actor. He was also in Shag.
I've never seen Shag.
Oh my God, I love Shag.
Can you believe that? Yeah. I don't know how I missed that. One last thing I wanted to bring up about Seaquest, by the way, was those double-breasted uniforms in the beginning. Before they're wearing the nice black jumpsuits on the actual boat, they're wearing these beige, double-breasted Navy uniforms, basically, with these really gross gold buttons, and they just looked so bad on everybody, and it was distracting to me.
I didn't even notice them.
Oh my God.
When they're on land,
they were hideous. You're just looking at everything. They spent so much money on this show. There's so many costumes. There's so many people. Besides the cast, there's just so many extras. There's so many gigantic, complicated looking sets. They spent a lot of money on Seaquest.
And to be a nitpicker, have you ever seen what a real submarine looks like?
I've been inside one because my brother is in the Navy.
In Seaquest, they're just in this big cavernous room.
Oh, yeah.
Acoustics, and everyone has their own quarters.
My brother came back from his away, and there's a whole thing whenever a submarine comes back to port. All the families come and wave banners like, well, welcome home. And he took me on a tour, and all I could think was, I guess you're really earning this money because this seems horrible. Also, my brother is 6'4", 6 feet 4 inches.
Ugh.
It felt tight for me. He was out there for months at a time. He's showing me where he sleeps. And it's this triple bunk bed situation. He's like, it's okay. At most, you only have 2 people sleeping at once. So then you just flip one of them up so you have more room. And he's showing me how he's tricked out his bunk bed. He's like, flips down a TV screen, has stuff hidden everywhere. But it was just so small. It's a nuke sub. So he's showing me around and he's like, yeah, here's a nuke. Here's a missile. But if there's no nuke here, you can turn this into more sleep areas. It's like, oh, great. Very comfortable.
I always consider myself to be slightly claustrophobic because I'll get skittish in like situations like that. Like I wouldn't ever do that, but maybe that's just normal. We have a normal amount of claustrophobia, and then only some people can withstand. I mean, like spelunking. No, thank you.
Yeah. Spelunking is the craziest because I guess if you're doing it for your job, if you're a professional spelunker, hey, you're getting paid to do it. But for fun.
Well, do you remember when those boys, the Thai boys, were trapped? They had like gone swimming in a cave, and then the tide rose, and then they were trapped there, and then all these people that went to go rescue them, and it was really hard because I think that they had to like put the boys to sleep or something. They had to drug them so that they could then put a mask over them and then carry them under the water. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was like the Chilean miners. Oh my God, you're all down there.
I saw a video, I think it was an Anthony Bourdain episode where he was in West Virginia and he went down into a mine, and there's a section where like you have to crawl to get where you're going.
No, thank you. No, thanks.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. On that note, this has been Sliders and Wings with Val and Rachel. You can email us at slidersandwings@gmail.com.
Yes, you can. Be a cool guy and email us. Good night. Bye.